Putting the hat on after a long 8-hour workday. Here we go. Howdy ho. Let's start with what ray tracing is not. It's not blast processing. It's not velocity architecture. Ray tracing is not marketing buzz, even if it's been used that way. It's quite a bit simpler actually. Ray tracing is not even a technology. It's just a physics concept, and it's all in the name, ray tracing. You're following the path of light or sound using straight lines or rays, and how these paths interact or bounce or don't bounce off objects or surfaces for which you've defined properties for. Holy God, I just realized this is one massive ass run-on sentence. But I'm not here to get technical. Instead, I'm here to show you why you love to see it, even if you don't realize it. First, let's start with this Nvidia Rtx Demo. This is running in real time on my PC, and you can't pretend this doesn't look pretty darn realistic. And you know why? Ray tracing. You see, you may not realize it, but a lot of your favorite big-budget, CG-heavy sci-fi movies are using tons of ray tracing, and the pre-rendered scenes see multiple passes which allow for a lot of ray tracing calculations that work to approach real-life appearances in reflections and artificial light sources. All these sentences are so effing long. In fact, ray tracing has been around for decades. Its use in the CG arena has primarily been in movies in which multiple passes of a scene allowed for as many bounces as time would allow. Ergo, rendering a scene in production could take days, weeks, months, and a lot of that was ray tracing calculations. Yeah, this whole time you've been enjoying it even if you didn't realize it. But finally, thanks to hardware power that continues to increase, real-time ray tracing is becoming viable, but just barely. That's because in the absence of ray tracing, we commonly use something called screen space reflections. Simply put, we approximate reflections by taking what's on screen, setting a horizon or inversion point, and generating a very low-quality, low-resolution version as a reflection. You can easily see what happens when you look right at the reflection. Now, I understand in the heat of combat, in the heat of action, these kinds of things are hard to notice. But let me tell you, your eyes notice things all the time. By the token that action hides all the details, I am sweating again. Oh my God. Getting all passionate about ray tracing. By the token that action makes it impossible to discern all these details, then N64 action scenes would look as good as any modern game. Of course, that sounds incredibly stupid. That's because your brain and eyes are constantly taking in information. Your eyes know this looks better because of the higher resolution textures, the alpha effects, the lighting effects, and so much more. It doesn't matter how much action is happening on screen. Your eyes love to see details you don't consciously notice. Instead, your brain simply tells you that it looks better. Naturally, more cinematic sequences or slow movement scenes will benefit the most, but pretending ray tracing is just some buzzword or market ploy is pure foolishness. It's the next step in trying to achieve photorealistic results in real-time rendering, regardless of the art style. But it doesn't stop there. Ray tracing isn't just for reflections. Ray tracing can be used to trace, well, pretty much anything. Returnal in particular uses ray tracing to accelerate its lighting calculations in an effort to keep its frame rate up. Resident Evil Village uses ray tracing to better apply light to the entire environment around the sources, something that's hard to notice but does indeed create better visual balance. You probably think that the scene with darker darks looks better, but that's because you find contrast appealing. Real light doesn't work that way. So you're still not convinced? I get it, especially when some of you prefer a more stable frame rate over pretty graphics. But know this, ray tracing isn't going anywhere. It's not a marketing ploy, it's not even actually technology. It's just a simple physics concept. It just so happens this physics concept is the application of a real-world concept. Thus, in closing, ray tracing is just the application of what's happening all around you in the world into the digital worlds we so lovingly create. Or in other words, you love to see it, you always did. I'll see you next time on the Gaming 5.